Thank you so much for joining me on Cocktails and Convo, Dr. Linda Michelle Barron. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure, my joy, my honor.
The pleasure is all mine. And before we get into our dialogue, we absolutely must do a virtual toast. So let us toast to beautiful black women like yourself continuing to make history. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.
So I'm so humbled and wowed to actually have you on the show. You've been wowing me with your poetry, with your energy, and just your vibe for so many years. And I know I'm not just the only one. So I really wanted to start with one of my favorite poems of yours. You talking to me? Let's take a look.
You talking to me? You trying to buy me with lollipops? I can buy and sell you and still pay the cops. You asking me how old am I? Ask your mama unless you want to die. You talking to me? I'm old enough, so don't ask my age. What I make in a week beats your whole year's wage. When I go out, it's not to play. Go ahead, mess with me and make my day. You talking to me? Don't even think about my size. I carry something that will equalize. I'm not worried about being tall. My game ain't about no basketball. You talking to me? I don't talk loud. I don't have to shout. I don't like how you look. I just take you out. Nah, You're not talking to me. Yes, I'm talking to you. I hear your brags, and I see your name brand rags. You're obviously money obsessed, but I'm not impressed. I'm talking to you. Oh, it's clear to me you a serious dude. I can hear your attitude. I have absolutely no doubt that you can take me out, but yeah, I'm talking to you. I know you never raise your voice. Weapons are your words of choice. A gun, machete, a fist, a knife, or one of your dogs will take my life, but yeah, I'm talking to you. I'm taking the risk because it's possible. I'm partially responsible. I might have missed the beat that could have kept you off the street. Maybe you needed a different interaction and I was present, but missing in action. I don't know what has occurred. I know I spoke, but who knows what you heard. So yeah, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you, but I don't know what to say. Can we talk?
That poem always spoke so loudly to me. What inspired you to write that poem?
You know, it's interesting. My poems and my poetry, as you know, is most often known for being uplifting and power positive. And this poem is like so different from what I'm known for writing. You'll appreciate this. When I was going for my doctorate, instead of writing the dissertation, you'll appreciate this I would write, a poem would come to me and I would use the screen to write a poem. This poem came from a number of situations I was involved in. I was in a school out in Long Island, in a district where the whole idea of someone said, you know, if you don't learn, you don't learn and you don't pay attention, you're not going to make any money. And the little young girl said, I make more money than you now. I mean, so that was one. Another time I was in a class and this young black teacher was yelling at this class. The students was believed to be special needs. And he was yelling. He said, you'll never make anything of yourself. You'll never make any money. And the young man, and he walked off, and the young man pulled out a wad of money. And he was going to show this to, and he said, it wasn't even worth it. That was a couple of things that happened. Wow. But what really was the impetus was I was in California visiting, and I'm walking for my health. Trying to keep fit. And while I'm walking, these two young men were walking towards me. It's 90 some degrees. They had on these long kind of down coats. And I said, something's wrong with this picture. While we walk towards each other, one of them reaches in I said, oh shoot, I would get shot. I
Wow.
said, this is not that. I know that's a reach. He
Right.
wasn't going for a pack of cigarettes. And instead of being afraid, because I am crazy in many ways, instead of being afraid, what happened was I almost chuckled. I said, I'm going to die. I'm here working for my health, and I'm going to
Wow.
die while I'm walking, get shot walking for my health. Anyway, all of that composite of what I thought was, you know what, I'm in California, but you know what? I might have a child like this walking in New York
Right.
that I might have taught and might have gotten left behind. When our children get left behind, when we don't reach them, that's what can happen. And the the compelling nature of having to reach each child, it just overwhelmed me and created that poem.
Right. Well, that poem spoke so articulately around the story of so many young people and the disconnect between young people and adults. And we know that when we make those connections, that's when good things happen, when we make those connections. But we can't be so far removed from what our children are currently going through and experiencing. And that's what that poem spoke to me. So I thank you for that. And I know that not only resonates with me, but people all over. So thank you for that. And of course, you know that there are a lot of similarities and parallels between poetry and hip hop.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
I'm going to ask you, who is Linda Michelle Barron, some of your favorite female MCs?
Now, I'm going to tell you something. You asked about the female, but when you talk about the connection between, hip hop and poetry, the last poets were really my idols when I was growing up. Those original last, to me, they're the bridge between poetry and hip hop.
Right.
They were the ones. I mean, they had the music, the drums, and they were jazz. Yeah, I'm not going to say it because, but the music, the rhythm, the life, the message. So you asked about the women, but if I were to say really, where a lot of kind of my newer energy came from, it was from people like the last poets, and certainly Nikki Giovanni was like, whoa, right around that time.
Yes.
Maya Angelou, but in the world of hip hop, listen, you got to
That's hip hop to me.
You got to give Cardi a little play here.
She's definitely making her own lane. Absolutely making her own lane. I'll give her that.
So, but I really embraced it. There was a while when I was like, I wasn't feeling this whole new genre until I had to be sat down and said, no, you got to listen. You have to listen. You can't just shun a whole group of young people. They're speaking to us.
Absolutely.
We have to listen. So
similar to the poem, you talking to me?
Exactly. You talking to me? Yeah, they're talking to us. And that's how they're talking to us, and we have to listen.
Absolutely.
So I can't be them, but I will tell you, one of my class, if I'm a professor at York, that one of my students said I was the Beyonce of education.
All right. Well, you know what? I'd have to second that. I would definitely have to second that because I have not met, you know what? Yes, we're cheersing to that. Cheers. Not only am I seconding that, I don't think I've ever met an educator or professor who has as much swag as you do. So definitely the Beyonce of education. I'll go with that. So let's shift gears for a minute. So of course, back in 1972, Shirley Chisholm was the first black woman to run for president.
I stand before you today as a candidate for the Democratic nomination for the presidency of the United States of America. I am not the candidate of Black America, although I am black and proud. I am not the candidate of the women's movement of this country, although I am a woman, and I'm equally proud of that. I am not the candidate of any political bosses or fat cats or special interests. here now without endorsements from many big-name politicians or celebrities or any other kind of prop. I do not intend to offer to you the tired and glib cliches which for too long have been accepted part of our political life. I am the candidate of the people of America.
Now, decades later, Senator Kamala Harris has made history as the first black woman, first woman of color to actually be the vice presidential nominee. So as someone who has lived through both of those historic moments, what would you say are some parallels or differences between Shirley Chisholm's time in 1972 versus Senator Harris now?
I don't know if I could do a versus, but now I have to admit that when Shirley Chisholm was running, I was old enough to be in that community, hearing her, knowing her. She came to the church. My father was a minister. I'm a PK. And she came to our church and spoke. She was a keynote speaker at the church, one of the services. And I wrote a poem, Yeah, She's Black. That's what I wrote the poem to introduce her as a, so I was maybe 12 or so.
That's awesome.
So now everybody's going to know my age. But it's all right.
It's all right.
But I will say that I was so impressed with her presence, with her passion, with her commitment, that whole being unbought. What was it? Unbought and unbossed and unbought. I can't remember the exact, but she had such profound words of wisdom. She came from a place of empowerment.
Yes.
So when she ran, I think one difference is she did not expect to become president.
Right.
Today, Kamala Harris can expect to be vice president.
Yes.
That is a real expectation. Shirley Chisholm, along with Jesse Jackson and others, opened the possibilities. But now Kamala has this opportunity, as did our president, the president I claim to be our first president, Barack Obama. These doors were opened by Shirley Chisholm, by Jesse Jackson, and Kamala is the beneficiary as well.
Absolutely. They definitely set the foundation for her to walk through that gate now, and not even just as the potential vice president, but if everything goes according to plan, she may very well be the first female president of the United States. Which to me, I was actually having a conversation the other day, and just being totally transparent, I didn't want my kids to aspire to that office while the current president's in place. I couldn't say, look at that and aspire to be that. However, as Senator Harris now is the vice presidential candidate, like her or not, granted she's made some mistakes along the way, but I can say to my girls now, you know what? Look at her. Watch that. And some hope is being restored in me for that position again. So I'm excited about the possibility.
I would have, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
If I had children, there'd be a lesson. What you see as 45 is exactly what you never will ever be allowed to be. Never. That would be the lesson of what we should not ever be. We should never accept anyone else being. So I definitely hear you. I would not want to have children at this time. It would be painful.
Yes. One of the parallels from back during that time and to right now too is that, of course, we still have issues with voting, and right now we're in a voting debacle, so to speak. One of my friends most recently put on Instagram, he said, Trump is doing more to stop you from voting than he is to stop you from getting COVID. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolute. First of all, I don't know if you want my thoughts, because I really believe he's a mass murderer. I believe this is President Barack Obama put into place all kinds of protocols and systems so that something like this could never happen.
Right.
when there was something even more treacherous than this, Ebola, he stopped it at the gates. I wish the words that this current president said about Barack Obama, when there were only 2 cases, could be played over and over. All of the horrific things he said, and now he takes no responsibility for anything. I believe, had he taken, if he took anything seriously, if he took his job seriously, if he took other people's lives seriously, I believe there would not have been, maybe not even 100 deaths, but certainly not over 170,000 deaths. So I find it painful to believe that there are people out there talking about mistakes that Biden may have made or that Kamala may have made, when you're talking about a person who has been responsible because of his inaction.
Yep, that double standard.
I mean, but that's not even, I cannot. So I don't know if I answered the question.
No, you did. You absolutely did. And that's a great place for us to take a short break. We'll be right back with The People Want to Know. And we are back with The People Want to Know, which of course are just when we take questions from random people and do our best to answer those questions. Dr. Linda Michelle Barron is going to help me out. So first we have Mark from New Jersey. He wants to know, what's your favorite movie of all time?
My favorite movie of all time? My favorite movie of all time? Dang. I know there are movies I love.
Okay.
But you know what? I can't say my favorite movie of all time, but I can say I really, really enjoyed Hidden Figures.
Great movie. Absolutely great movie.
I love that. I just have to say, they had this wonderful video of Viola Davis accepting, speaking for Barnard College. I don't know if you saw that video.
No, I'm gonna have to take a look at that.
Oh my God, she speaks about being a little black girl, and there are pictures of her, those little girls that she talked about the little black boys calling her black and ugly. And at one point she just said, God, I'm going to close my eyes. She said she was like 10. She said, when I open it, if you really love me, when I open my eyes, I'll no longer be here.
Wow.
And she used that to talk to who you can be. That you're more than just having a goal, but having a purpose. And so I don't know why when that was a whole nother movie, but in my mind, all of a sudden she came to because I just watched the video. Well, please, everybody, you got to watch.
Oh, it's a great movie, and I definitely need to check out that acceptance speech as well, because that's powerful what you said. Jason from Brooklyn wants to know, who's better, New Edition or Jodeci?
I know New Edition. So I'm going to say New Edition, hey.
Yeah, I mean, Jodeci definitely had a great run, but as far as I'm concerned, if it wasn't for New Edition, there wouldn't be a Jodeci.
Okay, so you're on the page.
so Jason, we're both going with New Edition on that all day, every day. Jody from Queens wants to know, should I send my daughter to school on September 10th?
Wow. I would, you know what, let me just tell you, New York State is the proof that had somebody taken seriously, or if someone was taking seriously this pandemic, we would be able to send our children to school.
Right.
In New York State, we have a low amount of infections. I'm happy about that, but at this point, because of the possibilities of people from all over, I would not, if I had a child,
right,
I would not at this moment send my child to school. What do you say?
Well, look, I do have children, and my children will be doing their schooling right from home. So, granted, yes, we're doing a lot better than other cities across the country in reference to COVID cases and COVID deaths right now, but there's still this plethora of unknown information that we just don't know. So I'm not willing to
risk your
send
child.
my children out there into that world if there's still information that I don't know. Granted, I'm definitely willing to revisit in January and maybe make a different decision then. But when September 10th happens, my second grader is going to be at home. And not even just my second grader, my freshman college student is going to be taking her first semester at home as well.
Well, I'm a professor at a college, and we're talking about the students, but this is the funniest thing. I'm athletic. I think I'm young. I'm all this stuff. And they were talking about seniors and how dangerous. I said, oh, that's too bad about the seniors being I said, wait a minute, they're talking about me. So let me just tell you, not only for the children's sake, but for us, those are the professors and the teachers who will be at risk. Yeah. So I really take this very seriously. So I'm going to be online. Mm-hmm. It'll be face-to-face online. What do they call it?
Some hybrid model, blended learning, right?
Yes, but it's going to be face-to-face on done virtually. So thank you.
So Jody from Queens, you heard it from Linda Michelle Barron and myself. Nope. Keep them home if you have a choice, because we do know that there are some families out there who just may not necessarily have that option because of work or other circumstances. Just please be as safe as you possibly can. Be safe. Be safe. So you are a highly sought after motivational speaker, and people call on you all the time to drop wisdom and jewels, and you do it so effortlessly. There may be some people out there watching right now who may need to hear some of that wisdom or maybe need a jewel from you at this moment. What would you say to somebody out there that needs some words of encouragement right now?
You know what? It's so interesting because I've been blessed by being invited to speak. I never understood or knew what it was about what I offered or said that would make people want to hear me. Certainly at this time, most of my motivational engagements have been online. I have been blessed with a joy in life, a joy of loving people. I think I'd want people to know that in order to do anything in life, you have to really, there's some people who love people, are the luckiest people in the world. I'm going to tell you, when you have a love of people, it is an amazing boost. It's an energizer. It's a way of just having a purpose, a reason for living. And so for me, having people in your life. Now, I love lots of people. You don't have to love every daggone body in the world, but you have to find those people that
can't love everybody. But
now listen, I can love every daggone body. Now I'm going to tell you, I pray for the person for 45, and I pray for me. I pray for me so I could put everybody. When I say everybody, that I can include everybody. But I will say to you that what's allowed me to be who I am is my love and my wanting to connect with the best part of people and seeing the best in people. It's easy. You mentioned with Kamala and their mistakes. Everybody has things in their life they've done that they wish they'd done. All these people talk about, oh, she did this, he did that. But I want you to turn around and look at your own self.
He without sin cast the first stone.
Cast the first stone. Go ahead. I'm the PK. I should have said that. But absolutely. So what is that about? Right. Are we looking for, the perfect? We have a person who, we're not going to go there, but we have to keep our eye on the prize. Yes. Let me say that. This has nothing to do with your question, I know. But it's one thing I learned from the Republican Party, when he talks about people, Kamala said something against Biden. They had people, McConnell said he was every kind of misogynist, xenophobe, every negative thing you could say about this man. And yet, once he became their nominee, he could do no wrong. Once he became president, everything, whether it's treasonous, whether it's murderous, no matter what it is, they stand behind him. We need to vote for our best interests as a country, not just
Absolutely.
as a people, but if we want to keep this, listen, no one worked harder to make this country what it is than we are. This is our country.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
so that's all. That had nothing to do with your question, but it got me
That
started.
had everything to do with my question. It was absolutely perfect. As we close, you mentioned earlier Maya Angelou and her work, and to me, she's such a profound artist, and in so many ways, and connected with so many people. How significant has her work been to you?
Oh my. You know, when I was babysitting back in the day, I think I got $1 an hour or something, or maybe $1 for the whole day, who knows.
Wow.
But what they gave me, what the Blackburns gave me, they had 3 little girls that I took care of. But the greatest gift they gave me was an album of Maya Angelou doing her poetry.
Wow.
Now, this was before And Still I Rise and all of the other poems for which she's known. She had something like Shoe Shine Boy, I'm the best that ever done it. Pow, pow, that's my title and I won it. Pow, pow, I'm not the best. I mean, so there's so much. I memorized her poetry. When I started giving, presentations to teachers, I used her poetry, Eloise Greenfield, Nikki, many of our poets, Langston Hughes, and showed them how they can engage children through this poetry. And Maya was like in the top of that list. So I absolutely, I wrote a poem, And Free, which really, I was really trying to do a takeoff on And Still I Rise. And that didn't come close. It's a nice poem, close. But
All right.
my desire to be the best of who I am by connecting to the best of who we are through her.
And that's poetry right there. That's poetry right there, and I think it's the perfect ending to our lovely conversation. I thank you so much for joining me on Cocktails and Convo, and let your life continue to be beautiful poetry. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Linda Michelle Barron.
Thank you.